Well, kia ora and welcome to the Harness Half Hour, proudly brought to you by Airpark Canterbury and HRNZ Marketing. I'm Jess Smith, and this week on the show, we chat to Robert Dunn about his recent milestone, 1,500 winners, which he brought up fittingly at Kaikoura on Monday. Nigel Armstrong pops into the office to talk to us about the recent Westview win, which saw Heather Vitale of the USA get her first win as an owner on Kiwi soil. Plus, bookmaker Richard Wilson is back with another Bookie update. But first, here are this week's harness headlines. Monday's Kaikoura Cup was taken out by Classie Brigade for Robert and John Dunn. The win was one of three on the day for Team Dunn, including the trifecta in the PGG aged pace headed home by Heisenberg. We'll talk to Robert very soon about his milestone and the huge Cup week ahead. And Habibi Inter was successful in the Group 3 South Bay Trotters Cup for Paul Nean and Blair Orange. Second home was Destiny Jones and third was Did You Bring the Beers? Well, of course, the scenes at Kaikoura on Monday were so spectacular, but it was only rivaled by the amazing milestone that Robert Dunn achieved on a personal level as a trainer on Monday. Robert joins me now. Robert, 1,500 wins. Congratulations. It's a corny question, but how did it feel to reach that milestone?
I was pretty proud, really. Yes, it's been over a lot of years. I started in 77, 78 seasons, so it's basically just over 40 years now. And we've been very lucky. We've had a great run right from the time we started training. Had a terrific amount of support from a lot of people, a lot of owners, the family, of course, first, and then a lot of owners and a lot of great staff. So no, it was a real thrill to get that 1,500.
And I'd say pretty special too, given the success you've had at that track in the past too with the Master.
Yeah, actually, he could have won. Look, he won two Kaikoura Cups. I reckon he's very unlucky not to won four straight. He's probably the other two. He was a circuit beaten in both of them. So it's a special track. It's, as everybody knows, it's a special day up there. Yes, some horses can't get the track. It wasn't one of his favourite ones. He didn't enjoy racing on it, but it was always a great lead up, and he needed it going into the New Zealand Cup, I felt.
Yeah.
But a lot of horses can't handle it, but a lot can. But as far as harness racing goes, it's just the day out of the year. Really, it's outstanding, and it's growing every year. And I think that's the most cars I've and vans and motorhomes and that ever seen on the track. So it's getting bigger all the time.
Oh, exactly. I think the club said people were there 7 days out, so it just shows how popular it is. And of course, we can't miss out the fact that you were able to win the Cup this year with Classie Brigade and a wonderful drive too by Johnny.
Yeah, great drive by Johnny, and he was on fire all day. Really, we had a bit of bad luck for a starter, but that can happen, and then things came right. But no, it was a super drive. He got him away brilliantly from out wide, and once he led, he's such a great front-running driver. He's always hard to pull back, and he's won so many races of over more than 1,000. He's won himself on the front end, and he loves being there. So no, and of course, it's great for him, and all the effort he's put in over the year, especially since we've gone to the beach. It was a big call. I was going to the beach. We're at West Melton, and Johnny said to me one day that Davey Butt had been chasing me for a while to go there, and he knew I loved beach training, and he always wondered why I sort of turned him down. And I said to Johnny at the time, I said, look, it's a massive effort if we're going to still run West Melton and run the beach. And at that time, we really had to. We only had a small operation out there, and I said, it's either me go there or you. And I said, I'm at the stage in my life, and I'm getting a little bit too old, not fit enough. And so he came back the next day, and he said he talked to Jen, and he said they were looking forward to going out there and giving into the crack. So that's really how it all started, just to tell you the truth. And it's, without Johnny doing that, it would have been impossible, I don't think, anyway.
Oh, yeah, we cannot understate the team effort, as you say, with the satellite stables and all the communication between you two. It's not an easy thing to do, is it?
No, it's not. It's a very big operation. It never started that big, really, out at the beach. We only had probably 18 horses for a starter, and then all of my staff, the good staff I had at the time, went with Johnny, there were 2 or 3 of them, and then it left me to find different staff from West Melton. It was sort of, I was doing the jogging up and the breaking in and the pre-training at West Melton, and Johnny had all the racehorses, and that's how we thought it would work. We thought the beach was going to be our the winner for us. I always loved training the beach with the master and other horses I took there, so I knew how horses can improve when you do that beach and straight line training, and of course walking in the water and all the rest of it. So for a starter, it was pretty hard. And then I said to Johnny one day, look, we might just try and redevelop the place we've got. We've moved from Davies from one end down to where we are now, and we sort of redeveloped all that and allowed us to have more horses. And so I shut down West Melton and moved everything out to the beach. And then one day Johnny and I had a talk about Auckland, and we thought, look, stake money's always going to go up, and maybe we have our second operation in Auckland, and that's how that came about. So I'm up there, of course, and Johnny runs the beach property down here.
Yeah, and of course we've got to mention that the amazing performances Dexter's been putting in North America. I understand you were up there recently too and able to see him in action.
Yes, he is. He's been going super over there, and he's always the first to say, and he's very, very lucky that he's had wonderful support from so many New Zealand and Australian horsemen that are over there. And I never really realised until I went over this time how many there were. Kept on running into to different people that hadn't seen for 30 and 40 years, and they've been over there for that period of time. But he's had great support, and he is going super. And I really enjoyed it over there, Jess. I must admit, since Dex has been over there, and his good friend Andy McCarthy, who has been a fantastic ally for Dex and a very good friend, and really helped him along the line as well. Chris Ryder as well. Chris is another family friend from 40, 50 years ago. So I was amazed how the racing was in America. It's good. I know in places it struggles, but I enjoyed the mile racing, and the thing I really enjoyed the most, I think, was just the professionalism of the driving.
Yeah.
They're very, very, I know that they're very professional drivers. They all look after each other. There's no pushing and shoving, and very little animosity amongst them. And I think it's a great way of racing, and it's a way that the punters can be confident going have a bet in a race.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. They certainly promote themselves as, it's just like having a professional rugby player, isn't it? The way they market themselves up there.
Well, they do, and and I think that's one way. If a punter's going to the racetrack and they've got their favourite drivers they follow, which they do in New Zealand as well, but they seem over there to drive their horses the way that's sort of like it's an advantage for them for that horse to finish in the best possible place it can. Where sometimes I think over here it's harder for us because sometimes the lead's not there, and it makes it a little bit tougher on tougher on the punters knowing what's going to happen in a race as against America, where basically you can just about 9 times out of 10 predict how the race is going to unfold, and that's a good way of promoting our industry, I think.
Yeah, most certainly. And of course, I know that you're a busy man today. You're taking the team in for Cup Trial Day at Addington. Looking at the numbers of horses, Robert, that you've got nominated for Cup Day, outside of the Cup, of course, you've got horses nominated for that. But the Sire Stakes, the Trotting Free-for-All, you've got horses firing on all fronts on the big day.
Yeah, we have, Jess. We nominated 23. I think we pulled it back to about 18 on the first day. We're holding a couple of horses, holding 3 horses back for the second day where we feel races are better, and a major Franco Niven and Stars Tonight, all better races for them on the second day. But we've got, as you say, we've got 3 in the Sire Stakes final, which is really good. We only missed out qualifying 1 there out of the 4 we had possible to get qualification for. And we've got 4 trotters going around, 5 trotters going around actually nominated. We've got 3 in already in the Dominion. We're hoping to sneak Bell in if she wins, which I think should be a big chance on Cup Day. We've just put her out of the mobile into a stand, which would be better for her. And I think a victory in that race she's in, it's winnable for her, can put her into the Dominion. So hoping 4 around the Dominion. And of course our 2 Cup horses, Henry Hubert's back today. He, like Classie Brigade, had a real hiccup their last start at Addington. They both came up with lung infections. We got onto it on the night, which was really good. Got them scoped, and they had mucus, and a lot of it too. So we treated that straight away and got onto it. And of course, Classie Brigade's come back super. So we're hoping Henry Hubert's going to be the same. And we've got a lot of nice intermediate horses coming around at the moment too, so it's a big day for us.
Oh, it sure is, and really conscious of your time too with how busy it is. Robert, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations once again, 1,500 wins is phenomenal, and as you say, a real team effort. But here's hoping that you can celebrate in style with a win in a major race on Cup Week. It would be fitting.
Oh, I hope he can, and it'll be fitting for Johnny because I know Dixon never won a cup. As a driver, I never. We could have just about, but trained too. We're hoping we can actually get over the line. I love Johnny too because he deserves it. He's an outstanding young man. He's a great driver, and he runs the beach so well. And it'd be fitting for all the work he does, and I think it'd be even better than me getting the 1,500 if Johnny won the cup on Tuesday.
Exactly. Robert, thank you so much for your time, and all the best to you and the team next week.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jess.
And in social media news headlines now from around the world, starting with New Zealand, of course in milestones this week, once again congratulations to Robert Dunn for picking up his 1,500th winner, which he recorded at Kaikoura on Monday. You can also check out the latest on the road to the New Zealand Cup and the Dominion on our HRNZ Facebook page, including the trials from Wednesday. From Australia, for all New Zealand Cup news from the week and an Aussie perspective, be sure to follow Adam Hamilton on Twitter. He'll keep us updated on the travel for McLovin and San Carlo. And from the USA, of course, Heather Vitale is in New Zealand. Make sure you follow Heather on Facebook and other social media for the latest on her New Zealand trip, including her first win as an owner, which came at Kaikoura, and her spot on 7 Sharp, which featured on Monday night. You can find that on the HRNZ website. Well, continuing on with our theme from Kaikoura, of course, we heard from Robert Dunn, who brought up 1,500 wins at Kaikoura, a remarkable day for his team. And a big supporter of his team, of course, is Nigel Armstrong and Westview Racing. Nigel, congratulations, because you and the team had a win as well with Madam Sass there.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic today, and that sort of makes us 3 horses to Kaikoura in the last 3 years for 3 wins. One of them wasn't a Witch horse, but the last one certainly was.
Yeah, of course, the Witch brand has become synonymous now with ladies attending and having a good social outing, and was a really nice touch and a good win too to have Heather Vitale, who you were able to get into the Witches last year, there at Kaikoura for the first time and having a win. That was just phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, the exposure we get from that, hey, maybe not that much local exposure, but worldwide exposure. She's obviously really big in America. And hey, we can piggyback on that somehow and get some more people buying our horses. Hey, it's all positive, positive.
So can you talk us through, Nigel, the Witches have been the forefront of Westview racing for a while, but where did that all start? Where did you start out with the Westview stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, with the Witches started without the help of Westview Racing itself. So Westview Racing was kind enough to allow me to introduce them to the Witches, so they basically take a percentage of the horses that we syndicate. I syndicate the horses to them for free, so there's no cost at all. The Witches just pay in a one-off fee, and as I say, they pay the running costs for a year, and at the end of the year they can either renew, go into the next Witches, or they can have their money back, well, whatever we get. And the first Witches lasted a year. Witches put in $100. They got back about 83 if they wanted to pull out, but to be fair, not many of them actually ever pull out. Once you're a witch, you're sort of always a witch.
Yeah, or so they say. And of course, we've got to commend the Westview Syndicate because, you know, allowing the witches to get in. Obviously, they're getting a lot of the publicity around it, but they've really allowed this to happen, haven't they? Yeah,
it's a bit hard when you sort of... I've always said, if you go and you got it in horse ownership, you can go and celebrate by yourself, and it's not a lot of fun. But I mean, when you've got 216 witches with you, it makes it a wee bit awkward in photos. Maybe you don't get the great spot when they lined up for that, but it makes it a hell of a lot of fun in the winners' bar once we've had the win.
Oh, exactly. And the whole process has gained a lot of coverage, as we talked about, with the likes of Heather being here and the Witches. Whenever there's a Witches or Westview horse racing, for that matter, you know, the cameras are looking for the hats and the grandstand. Was that an idea that you had initially to build it as a brand, or has it just grown on its own?
It's just sort of grown on its own, to be fair. It came about with a discussion in at the Brecon Owners Bar and after a race one day, and I think it was Karen Fordyce that came up with the name, or her partner did, to be fair, with the Witches of Westview, and sort of taken off from that. And you've really got to put my hand, congratulate guys like Matt Cross, who makes a thing of it. He mentions them in the call and really puts it out there, so I don't have to do much advertising anymore. All the media sort of do it for me.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, you've had amazing success. I remember even Spellbound, being so brave, finishing second. But one thing that stood out on that day to everyone that was there was the applause Spellbound got when she came back to, clock in for second placing was just awesome. Yeah,
it was. Even John Dunn mentioned that to me after the race. He said he was coming back towards the birdcage, and he said he could hear everyone yelling and screaming when her name was read out second, which was really special for us. And it sort of leads me on to the Dunns. To be fair, they do such a good job out there. And as I've always known, one of my things in life is that you should always, if you're going to employ someone smarter than yourself, which I'm sure I've done with the Dunns. And if you can't do that, surround yourself with a really lot of talented women. And I think I've achieved that with all the Witches and all the help that I get. I get help for doing a fundraiser. There's Fliss O'Reilly and Marie Smolenski. If I want to do any media work, Emily Morgan. And probably my mentor for racing full stop is obviously you, Jess. You're sort of my go-to person. When I get a bit stuck or a bit down, I phone you up and you put me back on the right track.
Well, it's my pleasure. And, the likes of yourself, and we've got down South Kirk and Michelle Larson doing it now. I think we can really take a proud look. Obviously the Witches were in place before Anthony McDonald came down, but people are now starting to look at it's not tricky to look after a large group of people. If you treat them right, give them the right amount of information, and for goodness sake, give them a drink when they win. We've seen a lot of clubs supporting the Witches in that manner.
Well, it's come to a point now which is sort of what I'd hoped for, where clubs will approach me, which is extraordinary, really. Addington, I've sort of gone into partnership with Addington. We've run a fundraiser there for Pete and Margot with the Witches, and we raised $8,000. Omakau is probably my best favourite club. Graham Cinnamon, which I'll try and pronounce his name.
Yep.
Cinnamon. I was sort of close there. Getting better. He's been pestering me for probably... we had the Witches there and we had a win there last year, and he's pestered me for the last year to try and get another Witch horse down there. And with any luck, we're going to have 2 down there this year. That's our aim, because that club has really gone out of their way to help Westview to promote harness racing. They're just fantastic down there.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, yourself, you've taken a new step in the last year or so. Nigel, many people know you as a steward in the Birdcage and the Brecon Winners Bar, but you've gone into your own social media with Harness Unhinged and talking to some really interesting people.
Yeah, well, that's sort of, again, that's led about through you, to be fair, Jess. It started with the fractional ownership with Anthony McDonald. That got me going on that. I was already doing it, but that got me going more. And then you introduced me to Heather Fatale, which is probably a bit of a mistake on your behalf. So I've sort of copied her and not copied her. And it's pretty simple, and it's really good to actually get the amount of people that have come up to me when I walked through Addington now or any racecourse and said, congratulations, I really appreciate what you're doing. Sort of means a lot to me. Getting that sort of feedback, that's what drives me and keeps me going and want to do more.
Yeah, and you mentioned surrounding yourself with good women. Of course, we can't not mention Brenda. Brenda, your wife, she's done a phenomenal job. She's always there with you on race day. She's always loyally, there and helping out. She does a remarkable job too. Yeah,
without the head witch, there would be no Westview or no nothing really. She puts in a hell of a lot of work, and I should really mention her more, to be fair. She's not really in the limelight, but if you do actually watch the Madam Sass replay on TV, you'll see her scurrying down the hill with the big witch's hat on.
Yeah.
She has obviously got a lot of patience. Harness racing's not cheap, doesn't come cheap. I've rented out my holiday house because all my money now goes into horses. Brenda works at a bank for a good reason, because all my wages go into horses. It's just it's taken over my life, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. But it is such a great reward, and as you say, it's the way forward, isn't it? Looking after people at the group level, and I guess going forward, the goals for you, will the Witches continue in the way they are?
Yeah, well, the Witches, the current Witches, we're down to 3 horses, which again, We've had 6 horses in the Witch horses, and all of them won races, and all of them were picked through John and Robert buying them at the sales. So the sales are coming up. Obviously next year we'll be going again. Mm-hmm. This current Witches ends on the 31st of December, but the Witches are that keen that I'm going to put it out there to see if they want to carry on, as in the same people in there. And I think we're allowed to get another 50 or 60 odd Witches. So. By invitation, I think now, because it's right. No, not really. And keep going with it, and my plan has always been to have 10% of the owners in New Zealand. Harness racing will be somehow through me, and at this stage I think I'm sitting on about 3% of all owners in New Zealand are Westview people, so wow. 10% would be great, wouldn't it? 1,000.
And they've made such a great community too, because I saw that at Kaikoura. I managed to wrangle my mum into the Witches, and actually her partner, I think, gets even more excitement out of it, even though he's not a witch. I think he wishes he was. But when they went to Auckland, they actually met Westview Witches connections and made friends, and now around the whole country when they're going to different race meetings, it's formed a real social and friendship base for a lot of people. Yeah,
right. We've got Westview and Westview, which is we've got them in America, Australia, and London. We've got there's a big contingency of them down in Omakau and down Southland. So that is really one of the key reasons we're going down there. There's just such nice people, and it's becoming a community, and that's what harness racing has always been. It's been a family sort of community-based thing, and hey, if we can get more people involved and more people positive, that's how we'll go ahead. Yeah, and finally, I've just got to make mention of the fact that not only in the ownership have you been very active, but Life After Racing, you've been proactive with Born to Be a Star, and really great to see her featuring on Fanimals and seeing kids actually seeing that standardbreds can be an awesome first horse to have. Yeah, well, that's another thing that you've introduced me to, Jess, to be fair, and that was Jackie Law. And Jackie Law is one of those people where you just, she's just an unsung hero for the industry. We're in conjunction with you, and we raised a bit of money a couple of years ago. But I'm really keen on looking after Jackie Law. She looks after all the Westview horses. We have a policy where if the horses can't, well, they basically are rehomed, and they always send them out to Jackie. We try and look after Jackie as best as we can, with a few donations, but I'm really keen to do a fundraiser for Jackie Law, because she's just one of those people that deserves everything she gets. Yeah, and so do you and Brenda, and all the good karma I'm sure is going to come your way, and here's hoping that soon we see Spellbound picking up a Group 1 for those Witches and the Westview team as well. Yeah, well, Johnny's always said to me, Westview deserves a good horse, and I think it looks like we've got one with any luck. 2 Group 3s last year, that's unbelievable, and second in the Jewels. Roll on the Sire Stakes, 31st of December, and sales races is a world's our oyster, really. Yeah, well, Nigel, thank you for all the amazing work that you do, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon as well after you pick up a big win. Hope so, yep, you'll certainly hear us.
Hi, Razor here from Canterbury Rugby. When you need airport parking, choose a team that's on the ball. Meet at Airpark Canterbury and get their free Mercedes shuttle to drop you right off at the terminal. Airpark Canterbury have the cheapest 24/7 airport parking, and you'll never get left on the sidelines. Give Airpark Canterbury a try. airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
There's always a park for me at Airpark Canterbury.
Well, of course, at this stage of the podcast, every week we catch up with Richard Wilson from the Bookmaker's Desk, and my goodness me, when I look at the amount of stuff we have to go through, Richard, there was no rest for the wicked last week, was there?
No, indeed. There was plenty of races on last week, for sure, and started off with Manawatu on Tuesday. Very quiet start, but a solid start nonetheless there. Just 2 of the 7 races won by the favourites, so that's always a good sign for me. Mucho Macho Man was 290 into 320. Wasn't particularly popular there, and Payment Plan, the other favourite that won 250 to 240, didn't do a lot of damage either, so quite good for us. Sundon's Flyer was heavily backed in the first. There was $4,900 on at 180, $3,500 at 165, so both those bets missed when the driver miscounted the laps. And 5,000 on MacTier at 420 also missed out. So it was quite a good day for us there at Manawatu.
Okay, and from Tuesday Manawatu, they were backing up on Thursday. How did things go that night then?
Yeah, punters learnt their lessons well there and fought back very well. Sundown's Flyer got redemption in the first race there. There was $1, $3 and $5,000 bets all at the 195. Ace Strike very well backed, 180 into 165 in race 2. Jesse Kelly 230 into 210 in race 3. Voodoo Prince and Mucho Macho Man both got home just over the $2 mark, and punters were all over them. So there wasn't really very many bets going our way at all.
Okay, well, what about Friday? Because we had a bit of a unique situation there where we had a twilight meeting at Methven first and foremost.
Yeah, busy day there. I usually just do one meeting a day, but I got the backup there, so I had to do both. Some big prize winners at Methven. It was a bit like a day at the Mott with some of the things that were happening there, so it was good for us. The best bet, 500 on Samstown at $7. There was 900 on Budvar Air at $3.50 to run the top three. That was pretty good, and there was 1,300 on Samstown at 180, just in the head-to-head to beat that Alexander guy. Some big bets that dipped out there, 2,600 at 250 and 2,000 at 210, both on Better Fly. There was 1,600 at 290, 1,500 at 280 on Johnny Air, and 1,000 on Essence of Easton at $5.
And of course, as you mentioned, you had to back up. Alexandra Park looked like that was busy on Friday.
Yep, punters were going pretty well there too. 3 winners extremely well backed on the night. Paramount King, there was 500 on at 390, 1,000 at 330, 850 at 3, 1,900 at 290, 700 at 280. So a lot of big bets at every price I put up. Be My Rock also very well backed in race 8, 440 on at the 440, 1,500 at 4, 400, 500 and $1,500 bets at 380, 2,000 at 350, $3 $500 bets at 340 and another 800 at 320. So a lot of damage done there. And the other one, Lady Be Good, 750 at 330 and $5,000 on at 3. The largest of many bets on her. And again, there wasn't a lot going our way, but there was 2,700 on Mimi Ikoko at 250 and 1,900 at 210. Tip of a decent iceberg on her. And a couple of $1,000 bets on Blazing River at 550 and 460. Henry Hu, strongly backed in race 7, got me out of trouble a wee bit. 5,000 at 170, 4,000 at 160.
Okay, gee, that's enough to go through, and that's not even the majority of the week because you had to back up again on Saturday this time for Forbury Park.
Yeah, I managed to get out of Saturday, got someone else to do the trading there on Saturday, so they tell me it was a very quiet day there. Focus probably over in Melbourne on Derby Day. The best bet there, 2,000 on Cotton Socks at 175 to run top 3. There was 1,400 on Lisa Marie P at 210, 1,000 on Bono Brown at 195, and a nice wee 300 on What a Razzle Dazzle at 7. A couple that helped us out there, 1,000 on Rock and Rod at 180 and 2,000 on G6 at 2.
And of course, Kaikoura 2-day meet, just the twilight meeting and 6 races on Sunday, but a bit of a warm-up for punters.
Yeah, it was a bit of a warm-up, just the 6 races there. I wonder if they would be better putting one of the features on the Sunday and just ramping it up a little bit. Maybe the sales race or something, I'm not sure, but it was pretty good for punters there, pretty even really. 3 good races for them and 3 for us. Southerly Change, heavily back to win race 4, 3,800 at 250, 4,250 at the 225, and then 2 $3,000 bets at 210 and a 1,200 at $2. The second fave, Pink Flamingo Run, got home in race 3, 2,300 and $1,400 bets at the 440, 750 on at 4. And then Zoe got punters out in the last 1,300, 500 and numerous bets around the 200 to 250 mark, all good on her at the $2. The misses there, $1,000 on Rake at 350. There was 12,000 on American Pride at 155, 3,000 and 1,800 at 145 as well. 2,750 on I'm Tough at 350 and 1,500 Rock and Roll Rod at 380.
Okay, and conversely, Monday, of course, the Kaikoura Cup day. Plenty of interest there with the calibre of the fields.
Yes, indeed. Plenty of big bets, the big punters coming out to play there. By far the best backed horse in race 4 was the winner, Overzealous. 500 at 320, the largest bet, But as you can imagine, there was a stack of smaller bets there, 100 to 200, very popular, pushed our liability close to 20,000 on her. Other good returns, 5,000 on Virgil at 185, 2,000 on Habibi Inter at 260, 550 Classie Brigade at 9. There was 8,000 on Heisenberg at 290. They were all getting home there. Cruz Bromac very strongly back to win the Cup. $5 once Ashley Lopez came out, and he closed at 250. The largest bets there, 2,000 at 440, 2,600 at 380, 2,750 at 350, 2,000 at 3, 2,000 and 5,000 at 260. So very well back there, Cruz Bromac. So very happy to see him come up a bit short. And up against Heisenberg, there was plenty of support for Taxman. $1,000 bets at 320, 230 and 240, as well as $1,500 and $1,800 bets at the 240.
Yep, and of course we got through Kaikoura. In Melbourne Cup Day we had Cambridge taking place to complement that meeting as well. Yeah,
punters cleaned up there in race 2 particularly. Hampton Bromac very well back, 700 at 320, 3,900 at 280 and 800 at 260, the largest of quite a number of bets. Other good bets on the night there, 3,900 on Splitting Image at 220 to run the top 3. There was 3,000 on the Lone Ranger, again top 3 at 340, 1,000 on Better Trends at 450, and a $50 bet there on the Comic Book Hero at 41 in the first got home. Some decent misses there, 5,000 each way, Flying Tame paying 5 and 190. There was 4,000 on Better Get It On at 450 to run top 3, 2,000 on Demolition Man at 340, 2,000 Super Actor at 450, and 2,000 on the Lone Ranger at 14.
Okay, and of course at this stage as well you find a multi in our cash out options this week. How did our multi players fare over the past 7 days, Richard?
I don't think I looked up a multi actually. I haven't done the multi of the week as yet. I've still got last week's one in there.
So, right, of course. No, forgive me for that. What about our cash out options?
The best cash out of the week there, $100 multi on the first 4 races at Auckland. St. Michelle, 185 head-to-head against Magnifique. Gemma, at I think it was $1.80 or $1.75 head-to-head against Courtney Jane. Hit the Sky, $1.90 against Olivia Rachel. And Silver Power, $1.85 head-to-head again against Westie Boys. Would have returned $1,300, but cashed out for $525 before the last leg where Silver Power actually ran last. Couldn't beat anybody, so very well done there.
And worst cash out option of the week. These are the ones that we don't really like to highlight, but hey, we have to at times.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here, but there was 5,000 on Sundance Flyer at 195. Would have returned 9,750, but was cashed out for 4,750 before Sundance Flyer cruised home on Thursday.
Okay, all right. Maybe cold feet, that might be the key there. And of course, over the next 7 days, it's going to be pretty intense for you and the team there.
Yes, indeed. We had Cambridge yesterday. We've got Invercargill Invited Drivers' Day there on Thursday. Rangiora and Cambridge on Friday, another sort of double-up day there. Wyndham on Sunday, and Cup Day, of course, coming up unbelievably within the week on Tuesday.
Yep, sure is. And of course, once the fields are out, we'll be seeing those options. Of course, a whole raft of options available for Cup Day nevertheless.
Yeah, I just hope my refresh button doesn't break here, because I'm just waiting for the fields to come out, and hopefully they'll be out soon. I've just got all the futures markets now for Cup Week, of course, closed. I just got a couple of decent bets that there's been on the futures. In the Cup, there was 1,500 on Spankham at 750, placed in June. 500 on the Fixer at 650, also in June, and 500 on Chase Auckland at 12, placed in August. And in the Dominion, there was 500 on Sunday Sun at 21. That was placed way back in April. 1,000 on Winterfell at 10. Couple of 900 and a 500 on Sunday Sun at 290 and 230. And in the Sire Stakes, 250 on Lineup at 12. 400 on One Change at 380. And 500 on Aqua Sancta at 31.
Beautiful. Well, we'll watch those bets with interest. Richard, of course, next week will be Cup Day, so we'll do the wash-up later in the week for the harness half hour. Good luck to you and the guys there. I know it's a really busy week for you.
Good luck to the punters too. Can't wait for Cup Day. I'm just wondering, Jess, shall I be doing the wet track form, or is the weather going to come good?
Yeah, I think we ignore the weather forecast at this stage. We don't look until Sunday because at the moment it's not looking great. But hey, look, I'm sure that Mother Nature is a harness racing fan and we'll be okay.
All right, yeah, it's been a long time since it's been a wet cup, so one more year wouldn't hurt. Although, having said that, I wouldn't mind a slushy track, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, you won't sitting in Petone. We will in high heels on Cup Day, I tell you. Richard, thank you so much. We'll catch you again next week.
Very good, Jess. Good on you.
And of course, coming up this week, it is very, very busy and lots of harness racing action from around the country. On Thursday, we've got Invercargill, which does feature the Invited Drivers Series. On Friday, we'll have a Rangiora Twilight meeting and also Cambridge. Sunday sees Wyndham, and on Tuesday, it is Christchurch Casino New Zealand Cup Day. And that's it for this week's Harness Half Hour, thanks to Airpark Canterbury and HRNZ Marketing. A reminder to check out the HRNZ website and Addington website for important information for owners and licence holders over New Zealand Cup Week. And don't forget the Harness Half Hour podcast is available on the HRNZ website, HRNZ Facebook page, on the Punters Lounge on tab.co.nz, also on Spotify and iTunes. We'll catch you next week with a New Zealand Cup special.